Welcome back. 9:39 now on this Tuesday. We're continuing our conversation with Dylan Ballard from A Sea of Blue. Thanks for being with us this morning. We were talking a little bit about men's basketball earlier. Now let's switch to the women's side. We'll start with kind of where we started with the guys. Big Blue Madness was this past weekend. A lot of fun. I know we had Keeneland, we had Big Blue Madness, just a lot of big events going on around town. Let's talk about the women's side, though. What are you most looking forward to this season and kind of expecting this season from this team?
Yeah, this team, I think, is going to be really good. I think they're going to be better than what a lot of people are giving them credit for. I think last year, Georgia Amore was so good, and now Georgia's gone. I think it's just natural to think they're going to take a step back. Kenny Brooks last year was the National Coach of the Year, and I think he said it in an interview that I did with him one-on-one. He said this is a sleeping giant that was ready to be awakened, and I think he's going to do that. I know that Strack is coming back. She's like preseason All-American in many places. They brought in Morgan, the young lady from the ACC. She was an All-ACC guard. I think she'll step in well. Maybe not as good as Georgia, but they're returning the triplets that they're calling each other, and also getting Jordan Obi back, who was a top transfer last year that got injured in the preseason. So I think they're going to have a lot more depth this year, but of course it's going to hurt losing Georgia, who is one of the best players in the country.
So let's talk about those preseason rankings came out, and unfortunately the women's team was not listed in that top 25. So I know a lot of people are upset about that and kind of wondering why they weren't in there, because they're still expected to be a great team this year. What would you say to those folks who are a little upset by it? I know it's still preseason, but also why do you think that was?
Honestly, I have no idea why they weren't ranked. I think if you had to think on it hardcore, it's probably because everybody saw how good they were last year and how much they relied on Georgia, and now that Georgia's gone, that's probably it. But you got to think, Strack is one of the best players in the country. They are returning Obi back like I talked about. I just don't see how they're not. I don't see 25 teams better. Nothing against, like, Richmond is ahead of them, and there's like 4 mid-majors ahead of them. I think people are probably just saying Georgia's gone, but I think that Kenny Brooks' team is going to be a lot deeper than they were the year before, and I just don't see how the returning National Coach of the Year returns 3 starters and gets a starter back that was supposed to start, and you don't think that they're going to be a top 25 team. I just don't see how. I was extremely confused by that.
Well, hopefully we will prove them wrong once the season gets started, right? So Coach Brooks had a great regular season last year. However, wasn't really the outcome we wanted during the postseason for them. How do you think they kind of turn that around and make a run in March later on?
I think it's just staying healthy. And like I said, I think a big portion of that is, I know I've mentioned it 2 times now, is going to be the depth. I think that they were tired last year. They really struggled when Strack would go out. They would really struggle when Georgia would go out. That team last year, and of course he was coming in off a lot of transfers, that team was only 6 deep last year. I think that the thing that gives you longevity is when you get there, having fresh legs and then shrinking the lineup. And I think he's going to be able to do that this year with the depth that he has. That young lady from Oregon State, she's coming back off injury, didn't get to play last year. The transfer from Western Kentucky, they're bringing in the McDonald's All-American girl that's a freshman. They're going to be extremely deep, and I think they're going to have fresh legs come the tournament. And I think Kenny just is going to keep getting better and better and better each year.
So you've been talking about that deep roster here. We were talking about it on the men's side as well. Do you have any predictions for starting 5? I asked you this for the men's team. I know it's tough, but what are you thinking?
I think you're going to have Jordan Obi, who's coming back from injury, the young lady who was a transfer from Penn. And then you're going to have Amelia Hassett, Tiana Key, and you're going to have Carla Strack, and then, of course, Morgan, that's coming from the ACC, an All-ACC guard. I think those are going to be your 5 starters, and I would be shocked if it wasn't those. And we actually, on the men's side, we didn't get to talk about the starters. We'd mentioned it, but I actually think that I have a surprise starter there. I think Colin Chandler will end up starting there.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have the blue-white game on Friday. Anything you're looking forward to in that?
I think for the men's team, I want to see how Colin Chandler and Denzel Aberdeen do, because I personally think they're competing for the last starting spot. And for the women's team, I just want to see I want to see those young ladies that were injured last year, see how healthy they are. And, of course, all eyes are going to be on Morgan taking Georgia Amore's spot.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dylan Ballard. You can follow him here on Facebook, X, and Instagram from A Sea of Blue. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll have to have you back because I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about, especially once the season gets underway. And maybe after that men's scrimmage against Purdue, we might have to have you back after that one.
Love to come back anytime.
Well, thanks for being with us. All right, we'll be right back.